Hello and welcome to Slice of Ace. I hope you had a wonderful holiday and a great start to the year. To ease me back into things, this week I'm going to be covering a relatively simple topic. It was one recommended by a commenter. Ian Smith wanted me to discuss the difference between squishes and crushes. I did speak briefly about crushes and squishes in my video on different types of attraction. However, as this will be the topic of the entire video, I'm going to go into much more depth and talk about both my experiences with both crushes and squishes. As most of you probably know, a crush is a strong romantic attraction towards someone. A squish is actually really similar. It is defined as a strong platonic attraction towards someone. This makes the difference between a crush and a squish simply whether you want to be in a relationship with them or you want to be their friend. But how do you distinguish between regular romantic attraction and a crush, or platonic attraction and a squish? What I'm going to do is go through how I think crushes differ from general romantic attraction. Not everyone may define it like this, but for me personally, a crush is incredibly strong romantic attraction, and it is often short-lived. I'm going to talk about the first guy that I had a crush on. Let's call him Archibald, because I don't know anyone called Archibald. When I met Archibald, I noted that he was good looking. That was aesthetic attraction. And then I started talking to him. He was nice. We had some similar interests, so I was starting to like him. My feelings for him weren't really that deep. I'd only just met him. However, we went to a club and he asked me to dance. So I did. Terrible at dancing, by the way. But to lead me to the dance floor, he held my hand. I've said this a few times before. Sensual attraction for me is really a key part of being attracted to someone. And it kind of triggered a crush. And then for a few days after that, I couldn't stop thinking about him. We went out a couple of weeks after that, and I was being very stalkery. He was texting on his phone, and I was looking at his phone over his shoulder to check who he was texting to find out whether he was single or not. Because apparently I was too nervous to ask him. There was a definite jumping point between just being attracted to him and having a crush on him. I think a key thing for me is that when I have a crush on someone, I will begin to fantasize about doing romantic things with them. So I might imagine taking them on dates. I will probably fantasize about kissing them. And in the extreme cases, which for me is pretty much every crush I've had, I will picture having a life with them, and marrying them, and living with them, because I get way ahead of myself. Really. To an extreme degree. The difference with a squish is that instead of fantasizing and having a desire to do romantic things with them, it's platonic things. Maybe you meet a new person and they're really cool. You know you have a lot of shared interests and you want to spend a lot of time with them. A squish is really a strong desire to be someone's friend. The weird thing about crushes that I found is that you don't need to actually know anything about the person. When I figured out that I was gay, I was talking to this person, I think about Pokemon, on the internet, and he mentioned that he might be bi, and simply for the fact that we had a similar interest in Pokemon, and there was a smidgen of a possibility that he could be interested in me romantically, my brain just went crazy and said, "Oh my god, I love him so much!" So then I just kept on messaging him excessively until he stopped messaging back. I got over it though. What I've been mentioning in this video about kissing and going on dates and all these romantic things are romantic to my point of view. To someone else's point of view, their romantic fantasies might be something completely different. They might do different things with their friends. There are people who hug their friends. I don't hug my friends. I get freaked out when my friends hug me. They know this. So it really is up to your interpretation what is considered romantic or platonic. So really, after all this, I can't tell you the difference between crushes and squishes because that's something that you have to make up for yourself. Basically, for me, a crush is when I have a particularly strong yet short-lived desire to pursue a romantic relationship with someone. A squish is when I really want to be someone's friend. Is my definition of crush or squish different to yours? What are your experiences of crushes and squishes? If you have anything to add, please leave it in the comments below. Once again, this video was recommended by one of the commenters, so if you have something that you want me to talk about, you can comment that below too. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like. I post videos every Saturday, so if you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. That is all I had to say today. Have a wonderful day, and I shall see you next time. So Archibald was good looking. Probably still is good looking. I post videos every Saturday, and I am a robot. A robot. I'm a bloody robot.